Well, I was sent a sort of almost a literal translation from the Danish of the film that was made and indeed was shown here at TIFF.
Called Silent Heart.
Silent Heart, Still Heart. And I saw within it a kind of germ of an idea of something that I thought could be very powerful and strong. It's a film about a death. It is a film about euthanasia, but it's not a film which is an issue film. It doesn't really debate the issues around euthanasia. The event has been preordained. It's been discussed by this family. The family are all meeting for a final weekend at this very isolated country house by the sea. So in an odd way, it's like an Agatha Christie movie. You know, we know there's going to be a death. It's what surrounds the death, which is so fascinating.
It's interesting to ask yourself what your definition is of life and when you draw the line and what matters to you and what doesn't. Because we met someone, you know, when you start to actually look into this disease and the various steps.
It's ALS, by the way.
ALS. You know, there's different landmarks that you have to make decisions of how you're going forward and what you're doing. And we have someone in the United States called Adi Barkan, who's an activist who has been fighting for Medicare for all throughout his entire degeneration of his body, but he is so clear in his purpose and has a small child and is continuing on. But if, you know, what is your quality of life? What do you, I remember in The Hunger saying that it was, for me, about would you live forever if you were addicted? You know, what are the limits to how you define what your life is to be? And so it brings up those things. And of course, everything that we're talking about, family and family secrets and, you know, how you see your parents, which is hardly ever who they really are, and how you see your children, which is hardly ever who they are, and, you know, and so there's a lot of revelations, but I just thought, yeah, I'll jump, you know, we'll give it a whirl. So.
Yeah, we became a sort of weird family ourselves, and that knits into the fabric of the film in a strange way.
It's an incredible script in that there is this 8-person ensemble, and every character goes through a really exquisite journey. Not huge kind of Shakespearean turns, but very slight but profound kind of Chekhovian ones, where you think you know someone and then other aspects of them are revealed gradually. They make subtle shifts emotionally and with humor, and I really appreciated that about the film. You know, yes, death is at the center of the film, but really it's a movie about life, and it's a life of a family. You know, they're eccentric, they've got skeletons in the closet, they bump up against each other in various tense, difficult, and funny ways. And, you know, death is the mirror that really kind of illuminates what being alive is all about. So when faced with death, you know, life kind of springs forth. And that sounded incredibly profound just then.
It did.
I want it on a T-shirt, actually.
But so it was just a joy to take that journey and to get to play Michael, who does have a really kind of beautiful transformation and arc. Yeah.
I would say the term is not so much calm, it's kind of contained heartbreak. That his heart is breaking all the way through the film, but it's necessary, most particularly for her, that a sense of order and normality is brought as much as possible to the most extraordinary of circumstances. Love is something that is explored on many different levels, not least of them Rainn Wilson shagging in a barn.
Oscar winner Kate Winslet. That's what I have in common with Leonardo DiCaprio. So,
the greatest ambition is to be, after one's departure, a sweet sound on someone else's lips. And I think that's as much as I could hope for.
It's legal in 9 states in the United States at the moment, or it's going to be 9. Maine is about to vote. I think it's Maine is the last one. I did a thing with Al Pacino about Kevorkian, so I researched it years ago and saw the actual tapes. At that time, when it was so illegal, you had to do a tape right before you push the button of the machine that allowed you to do it. And I think that everyone has the right to make a decision about that without your family members being charged with homicide or anyone. You should be able to be surrounded by those people. I think it's an individual choice, and it should be legal and controlled, and there are very, very strict perimeters around, talking to doctors. But the fact of the matter is that if you're wealthy, just like abortion, you'll always have access to things that are controversial. If you're wealthy, your doctor will make sure, whether it's upping your morphine or whatever, that you're not suffering. It's not something that's new. So giving other people real access to that, and there's so many baby boomers now, this is becoming something that is discussed more in the United States, and there are now death doulas that assist you even if you're not doing something abruptly, but just try to make it possible for you to stay at home and for you to be comfortable. And I think that actually taking on this process of letting go of your body is something that takes a lot of thought, and the medical profession has been way, way behind. Hospice only came into being fairly recently, so it's not just ending your life, but being able to end your life with dignity and without pain. And I think anybody that has had a family member that has really suffered is very, very much interested and pro having that choice. When you get to a certain age, it seems like all the things you're offered, you're either dying or helping someone die. So I've thought about this a number of times. And I appreciate having to think about this, because I think we should all live each day as if it could be the final day. And so that is a gift when you get something like this, that you have to really think about those things. But I think that is the thing that ties you to earth and is the most difficult, our children, for sure.
I think really the only message of the film is life is precious. Love each other. That's what you want this and any other work of art to spark in someone.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes when Rainn Wilson says, that the simplest things, they turn out to be very profound, and then when he's trying to be profound, you think, that's really dumb. That was a good one.
I'm going to help you die before the end of this junket. So let's figure out how you want to do that. I think accidentally falling off of the CN Tower would be a great way to go.
Yeah, if he invites you to do the edge walk, it's called, do not do the edge walk.
My feeling always is that The Nutty Professor was one of the most political films there is, because you identify with that guy as a hero and want the gal to be with the fat guy. Every film tells you something. We only talk about ones which challenge the status quo, but every film does get you, if you do have a conversation, then I think you've been so successful. I personally never would have been able to leave my family at that moment. I would have definitely put it off, because it was still so tumultuous, and I couldn't have done it. But I understand somebody that would, but I personally, not in a million years. Even knowing what's in store later for her, it would have been very difficult for me to leave my kids behind at that point. So, that is a conversation you can have. Sometimes, we figure out our bottom line by watching TV. Other places than The Bachelorette, we can talk about things of what you would do and wouldn't do and who you'd like and all of that. So I think, I think every film that you can dine out on and have a heated discussion or cry or whatever is a story that's worth making.
Yes, I was just going to say that although the film isn't an issue film or a campaigning film, I think it's unavoidable that the film doesn't condone, but it almost celebrates, certainly normalizes or makes acceptable what this woman and her family end up deciding to do. So in that sense, I suppose it is advocating a change in the law.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,